All right, Niners faithful, let's talk about what just happened out there. Because honestly, I can still feel the frustration and confusion from everyone after that loss. You can sense it in the fan base, you can feel it in the locker room, and you can definitely see it all over social media. Everyone's had a different takeaway from this one. Some are looking at the injuries, some are calling out the play calling, and others are just flat out wondering if this team is still who we thought they were a few weeks ago. And look, I get every bit of that. When you've watched this team as long as we have, and you've seen how often injuries derail what could have been a special season, it's hard not to look through that lens every single time something goes wrong. But here's the thing. If you take a step back and really think about it, this game wasn't about one moment or one player or one bad call. It was about the whole picture. The 49ers came in riding high with confidence, sitting on a strong record, and suddenly ran into a team that wasn't going to roll over. Houston came to play, and honestly, they were a lot better than their record made them look. I know that sounds wild to say after the way Monday night went, but when you really watch how that game unfolded, it starts to make sense. Now, I saw someone in the comments saying, we lost to a 2-4 team, that's embarrassing. But hang on a second. Houston is not the pushover people are making them out to be. Yeah, they had a rough night against Seattle earlier in the week, but let's not act like Seattle is some bottom feeder. They're a tough, physical team, and sometimes games like that get blown out of proportion because they happen in prime time. But when you look at the Texans overall, their defense is legit. Statistically, one of the best in the league. Their point differential? Positive. Their turnover ratio? Way better than most. So when people say they suck, it just doesn't hold up when you actually look at the numbers. And let's be real, the 49ers did not play their best football. The offense never really found a rhythm. The line was struggling, the timing was off, and it felt like every time something started to click, another mistake popped up. That's not to say there weren't bright spots. There always are, but the overall performance just didn't have that crisp, sharp feel that we expect from this group. And that's the part that stings the most because this is a roster that's built to dominate in the trenches, control the clock, and grind down opponents. Instead, we were the ones getting pushed around. Still, the biggest reason I'm not panicking yet is because of what's coming next. The good news is that none of the injuries from Sunday look like they're going to keep anyone out long term. That's huge. We've been down that road before, losing key guys early and never quite recovering, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the case this time. On top of that, the schedule ahead is finally softening up. Only one of the next 6 opponents has a winning record, and several of them have barely managed a couple of wins this year. This stretch is where San Francisco can really steady the ship, get healthy, and rebuild some of that rhythm that's been missing. And speaking of getting healthy, the return of Brock Purdy and Ricky Pierrot is something we're all waiting for. Those two completely change how this offense looks. Ricky was playing at an insane level before going down, and Purdy's mobility and quick decision-making are exactly what the Niners need right now. I'm not saying he solves every problem, no quarterback can, but when you compare how the offense operates with him versus without him, it's night and day. The pocket movement, the confidence, the ability to extend plays just long enough to open up that second or third read. It's what makes the Shanahan system go. Now, while we're on the subject of bright spots, we have to talk about Christian McCaffrey. The guy is on another planet right now. He just joined an elite list in 49ers history. One of only a handful of players to reach 1,000 yards from scrimmage in the first 8 games of the season. That's Roger Craig territory, Frank Gore territory, Garrison Hurst territory. That's rare air. And as if that wasn't enough, McCaffrey also became the second fastest running back in NFL history to hit 5,000 career receiving yards, trailing only Marshall Faulk. That's not just impressive, that's all-time great stuff. You can see how much he means to this team every time he touches the ball. The energy changes, the defense adjusts, and suddenly everything looks a little more dangerous. But even with stars like McCaffrey doing their thing, football is never about just one player. This game showed us how much the 49ers rely on the group working in sync. When the offensive line struggles, it throws off everything. Timing routes get disrupted, running lanes close, and drives stall. That was the story of this game. The trenches were just ugly. Both sides. And you could feel it from the first quarter. The Texans' front 7 came to dominate, and they did. Every time San Francisco tried to build momentum, they found themselves staring at 3rd and long. That's not who this team wants to be. The 49ers are built to stay ahead of the sticks, use play action, and wear teams down. When that doesn't happen, everything looks off. And defensively, you could see the fatigue setting in as the game went on. Houston's offense controlled the time of possession for over 41 minutes. That's unheard of against a Niners team that usually owns that stat. By the 4th quarter, our defense was gassed. They were fighting, no doubt about that, but you can only stay on the field for that long before the cracks start to show. Still, guys like Tatum Bethune deserve some serious credit. 14 tackles in one game, the most by any 49er since Fred Warner hit 15 last season. That's no joke. He was everywhere, hustling to the ball, trying to keep things alive while the offense sputtered. What frustrated me the most wasn't just the numbers, though. It was the untidiness, the little mistakes, the lack of focus, the things that reminded us too much of last year's sloppy stretches. Missed assignments, blown coverages, miscommunications on 3rd downs. Those are the things that kill a team with championship aspirations. You can't let a team convert 9 of 16 3rd downs and expect to win in this league. And it wasn't just short yardage plays. We're talking 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, situations where the defense actually did its job on 1st and 2nd down, only to see it all fall apart on the next snap. That's the kind of stuff that drains morale. And you could feel Houston gaining confidence with every conversion. C.J. Stroud started slow, sure, but once he settled in, he looked comfortable, too comfortable. The Texans kept the offense simple, got the ball out of his hands quickly, and when they needed to, the protection held up. The Niners' pass rush, usually a strength, was just missing. And that's the part that's starting to worry a lot of people. Because when your defensive identity is built on pressure and you're not getting home, everything else starts to unravel. Right now, the 49ers are on pace for 19 sacks through the season. That's barely what Nick Bosa alone had 2 years ago. Let that sink in. You can't win big games with that kind of drop-off. So yeah, fans are starting to call for action. People want moves, trades, something. There's a growing sense that this team needs to add help on the defensive line, and soon. Maybe it's a veteran edge rusher. Maybe it's someone who can move inside and out, but there's no denying it anymore. They need fresh energy in that front 7. And this isn't just fan overreaction. You can feel that bias toward action all around the league. Reporters, analysts, even some former players are saying the same thing. The 49ers can't afford to stand still. Because as much as this team is built to win now, they can't give up key draft capital either. They've got to think about the future, replacing Trent Williams eventually, solidifying the left guard spot, figuring out the long-term plan at center. There's a fine balance between fixing the now and protecting what's ahead. That's where San Francisco is sitting right now, in that tense middle ground between potential and pressure. The talent is there, the leadership is there, but the margin for error is getting smaller. Every drive, every snap, every adjustment matters from here on out. The fan base knows it, the players feel it, and the front office definitely sees it. What happens next will tell us everything about who this team really is. What comes next for the 49ers isn't just about fixing mistakes from one bad game. It's about finding out what kind of team they want to be when things get tough. Every contender faces that moment in the season when the easy wins stop coming, when injuries start piling up, and when the rhythm that made everything look effortless suddenly disappears. That's where San Francisco is right now. It's not panic time, but it's definitely a reality check. The players have talked all year about accountability, about taking ownership when things go wrong. Well, this is one of those moments where you have to look in the mirror and ask who you are when the plan doesn't work and the game isn't going your way. When you go back and watch the tape, it's not like the team was completely outclassed. It was more about discipline, missed assignments, and a lack of urgency at key moments. Too many drives started behind the sticks, too many times where 3rd and manageable turned into 3rd and forever. Those are self-inflicted wounds, the kind that championship teams eventually eliminate. Kyle Shanahan has built this program on structure and precision, but that structure only works when the execution is sharp. The line missed its marks, the receivers struggled to create separation, and the offense couldn't sustain drives long enough to give the defense a breather. It's the kind of domino effect that turns one bad quarter into a bad game. And defensively, the frustration is understandable. This unit is built around pressure. They want to dictate, not react. But right now, it's the opposite. Quarterbacks have too much time, the linebackers are being forced to cover for too long, and the secondary keeps getting exposed because the ball isn't coming out under duress. That's why the talk about bringing in help on the defensive front isn't just chatter. It's necessary. When Nick Bosa was dominating a couple of seasons ago, it wasn't just because of his individual brilliance. It was because there were other guys creating chaos, forcing offenses to spread their protection thin. Without that support, even the best edge rusher can't carry the entire load. Still, as rough as this stretch looks, there's something encouraging about how the players are responding. There's no finger-pointing, no public frustration spilling out. You can sense that the locker room understands what's at stake and that they know this isn't a time for excuses. That's leadership. That's the difference between a good team and a mature one. You need guys like Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel, and Christian McCaffrey to keep the energy steady, to remind everyone that the season is long and that one loss, even one ugly one, doesn't define them. But it's fair to say that the coaching staff needs to make adjustments too. The offensive play calling has looked a little predictable, especially on early downs. Teams are starting to anticipate the zone runs and the short passes off play action. You can see defenders jumping routes and crowding the line of scrimmage. That's where Shanahan has to dig deeper into the playbook and bring back some of that creativity that made this offense so dangerous. Motion, misdirection, tempo, those are the elements that make the 49ers hard to defend. When those disappear, the scheme becomes ordinary, and an ordinary offense won't get it done against physical defenses like Houston's. Another point that stands out from this loss is just how thin the margin for error is when your offensive line isn't playing well. Every small mistake becomes amplified. A missed block turns into a drive killer. A hesitation from the quarterback leads to a sack or worse. That's why getting healthy in the trenches is such a priority right now. Trent Williams' leadership and technique are irreplaceable, but even he can only do so much if the unit around him isn't clicking. Left guard remains a concern, and at center, consistency has been elusive. These are the details that separate elite teams from the ones who just make the playoffs. And the defense, for all its struggles, still has heart. You could see it even in the fourth quarter when the game was slipping away. The guys kept hustling, they kept fighting, they refused to let the Texans walk into the end zone easily. Tatum Bethune's energy, the way he flew around making tackles, that's the kind of effort you build on. The numbers might not show it, but that sort of grit matters when you're trying to turn things around. The issue isn't effort, it's cohesion. When one part of the defense overcommits, another part gets exposed. You fixed it through communication and reps, not panic. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The rumor mill is spinning at full speed in the NFL world, and it seems like the San Francisco 49ers are about to make a defensive statement that could shake the league. Sources close to the team have whispered that the 49ers have secured a deal with cornerback Patrick Surtain II, and while nothing has been officially announced, insiders suggest the move could be a game-changer for a defense already known for its relentless pressure and discipline scheme. Surtain II, one of the premier shutdown corners in the league, has been linked with several top franchises this offseason, but the whispers hint that the 49ers' combination of coaching stability, defensive scheme, and championship aspirations might have been the deciding factor. If true, pairing Surtain with the 49ers' current defensive stars would create one of the most feared secondary units in recent memory. Imagine a backfield where quarterbacks hesitate at every throw, unsure whether to challenge someone who has the instincts, speed, and technique to make a play on the ball. The buzz around Levi's Stadium is palpable, with fans already envisioning a unit that could dominate from the opening snap. Analysts are quietly speculating that this rumored signing could elevate the 49ers' defense to elite status, potentially giving them the edge in tight playoff battles. Some even suggest that Surtain II could become the defensive leader the team has long sought, someone capable of mentoring younger players while anchoring a unit that thrives on aggression and intelligence. While nothing is confirmed, the idea of SURTAIN in scarlet and gold has sparked excitement and a healthy dose of speculation. Could this be the piece that finally turns the 49ers defense into a league-wide nightmare? Or is it just another off-season whisper destined to fade? Either way, the chatter is heating up and the NFL world is watching closely. If the rumor proves true, the 49ers may not just be contenders. They could be a defensive juggernaut poised to make a statement for years to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.